It is that time again where we welcome you to Connecting the Dots on DBS Radio. Today is Saturday, the 18th day in the month of June. What a lovely day it is on the outside. Nice vibes, nice weather. Good morning, people. Bonjour. Good morning. Good morning. So we are on the book, the Facebook. We are live. We're going to have a good time today as we welcome our guest this morning. It's the kind of weather that beckons you. Go take a rest, relax somewhere, go by the river, or you may prefer a sea bath this morning. Whatever your choice, whatever you agree to do, enjoy. But don't forget, to listen to Connecting the Dots. I welcome you to Connecting the Dots. Nigel Francis is my guest, my host. What am I saying this morning, Nigel? All right, so Nigel Francis and I, we host that program. What, 19 months now since we started? And I tell you, we have connected so many dots in the past, huh? It's a nice vibes this morning. Let me join Nigel. Good morning to you, Nigel Francis.
Hey, good morning. How are you doing this morning, my dear?
Well, I'm here. Feeling nice, feeling dandy. A nice vibes
yes.
I expect this morning.
Feeling dandy, looking dandy, splendor in pink.
Well, best I put on my glasses today, dear. Because I see.
You have your glasses?
Yes, we have our reading glasses. Then I see inside there looking young, we boy, Nigel.
Yeah.
Our guest, we.
I'm not going there yet.
Okay, Papa. Yeah, man. So, two former teachers of mine, we're on Connecting the Dots this morning. Boy, nah, man.
You in school today?
I in school today, we? Yes, sir. And I behaving myself too, eh? I am behaving myself this way. I'm not even laughing. Best I even put a mask on. But
no merits, no nothing like you have to go and go downstairs.
But I know I'm giving him a detention today, and I'll tell you why when we bring on the guests. I'll tell you why, because I have a little story to tell you, man, you know? So.
All right. I'll wait for that.
All right. So what's the vibes, Nigel?
Vibes is good, you know.
Father's Day tomorrow.
Nice. Yes.
Juneteenth tomorrow as well. Day. Double celebration for fathers, especially in America.
Double celebration, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But vibes is good, you know. Week has been good. You know, everything is going smoothly. Work is nice as always, and you know, family good. Trying to get everything sorted out. You know, unfortunately, we have our usual stories of things that haven't changed.
Yeah, I tell you, Nigel.
Need to change and all the rest of it. And you know, I mean, the war continues. You know, still looking for a little girl, and you know, so those stories continue. Inflation seems to be rising up here now in the US, and everybody's complaining at the gas pump. I'm not sure what the gas prices are like back home now.
Nigel, we have our own troubles too. You know, I tell you.
Yes.
I saw a little. I think it's a TikTok, floating around, going viral. That beer is now cheaper than gas. So someone is saying it's like best we drink and don't drive. But of course we're not saying that. But you know, it just goes to show, it just goes to show what is happening. And I mean, if we look down on the horizon, if we look further afield, Nigel, we will realize as well that we will see these challenges in food as well, you know, in the cost of food. We are beginning to see it, obviously.
And we are beginning to see it.
But it's getting worse, yes.
Yes. And I'm seeing the increase in prices, you know, whether it's in bread or canned milk or just water. So, you know, we're starting to see the effects of that. And again, it lets us know that if you think that the world is not one, then it lets you know that this is a time when you recognize we are one, because we all are feeling the effects no matter where we are. We're going to be feeling the effects. So, you know, We have to brace ourselves and do what we have to do, and we have to always, like we always do on this program, we have to find the positives, to find a way to kind of overshadow all what's going on.
Definitely, definitely.
So
I tell you, Nigel,
that's a beautiful thing.
there's this dark cloud, hanging over us in Dominica still. No luck in finding the 12-year-old, Kanisha Etienne. So, it's still a period of like, wow, Nigel, it's still depressing, a period of gloom and doom.
Yes.
But
and like we said before, I mean, we love our nature isle and all its forest and all its beautiful flora and fauna, but of course at the same time, in a situation like that, we can probably say it's acting as a hindrance towards clear vision and finding this young girl. So, but we continue.
We have to continue.
We're not giving up. We have
continue. Yesterday, the Girl Guides Association of Dominica, they came out in full force on the streets of Roseau, and they were they were shouting, and chanting, against child abuse, and very well attended, I must say, and hats off to the organizers. And I think this should continue, not just for one day, but we should continue with activities like this.
Nice. Yes, we have to. I didn't get a chance to listen to as much as I always do. This week was kind of tied up, so I didn't get as much chance to listen to DBS News as I always do. So what are some of the other things that kind of went on?
Well, a lot happened this week, and I can tell you about, even with COVID, we have a few cases again. I think we had about 16 cases in one day, or in a matter of 2 days this week. So it looks like the cases are going up again. There was also a recognition ceremony for the ambulance service department, for the fire service department as well, for policemen. So the Ministry of Health put this on, and when you recognize people for their efforts, that is very good. So we say hats off to them. There was an earlier reception as well, and Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit was recognized as well for his fight against COVID, for what government did, and he spearheading the efforts. Dr. Colin McIntyre as well received, an award as well. Did I say Colin? It's Irvin McIntyre. Received an award as the Minister of Health. So recognitions going on, graduation time as well. So a lot is happening, Nigel.
Excellent. Well, that's good.
But Nigel, quickly, before we bring on our guest, I mean, someone brought some gooseberries and tell me what it is in for you. Seriously, Nigel.
You see you on that thing again.
So they brought a package yesterday afternoon. Nigel, I was supposed to give it to someone who is traveling in your area tomorrow. But Nigel, I was dreaming like Nigel last night, and in that dream, And no, seriously, Nigel, I got a message that I should get up and eat. And I don't know why I brought it at my home. So Nigel, I ate so much gooseberry. And when you eat a lot of something, like tambourines and gooseberry, and Nigel, what's it, malad?
So my package can't come again.
Your package can't come again, eh? Seriously, Nigel, I can tell you, I can remember in my childhood days, growing up in a big yard, La Coucheline-Ford, that was Queen Mary Street then, now Independence Street. So there was this barber who liked to smoke cigarettes. And Nigel, in these days, it was strictly scissors and razor blade for the barbers. So he sent a guy called Twist. Well, I hope Twist not hearing me. Anyway, he sent Twist to buy 2 cigarettes in the shop. So Twist bought the 2 cigarettes, and Twist came back smoking one of the cigarettes. So he handed the barber 1 cigarette. So the guy is asking him, but just now I seen you buy 2. Why did you bring 1 for me? He said, well, I know you'd give me 1, so I just started. So Nigel, I know you would share with me, so I put blows on the gooseberries. Case closed.
All right.
Next.
But no gooseberries and tamarind for me. That's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. I know you'd say it's okay, so I check it.
Yeah. That's fine. I'll look for another time again.
So Nigel, get the drums ready. It is time.
I'm in a different studio. I have to probably get up and go and get the drums.
We know, Nigel, but we have a guest. I mean, the guest came well prepared.
And if a guest like that, you have to have the drums. Yeah.
He has a guitar. Well, based on the desk or your lap or your table.
I will use the desk.
Yes. beat the drum to help us listen to our soul so we can really
Yes.
understand
It will
our
take me back to
purpose.
the days of where the guest and I used to be together, and I'll
Oui.
beat on the desk, and the
Eh.
guest would go ahead and strum
Look
his
it.
guitar and sing his song.
Oui,
So,
Papa.
we'll get to that place in a while, but
Of
I will
course.
I will find a drum, and I will see what we can do. You
Of
ready?
course, no man, Nigel. Yes, beat, go ahead. Oui, Papa. What Nigel doing it? Nigel, you beating, man. Nigel. Okay, I think Nigel is beating. I'm not hearing the drum clearly, the drum or whatever he's beating on. But we welcome our guests.
Yes.
Okay, Nigel. So next time, please set up your studio nicely and
I
have an extra mic.
The thing is, I moved to studio 2 this morning.
So the mic should be angled in a position that it will pick up the sound of the drum, okay? Because you have to respect the drum.
Right.
When you realize how important the drum was to our ancestors, I mean, you have to respect it, okay?
We have to do that. We have to
All
do
right.
that. Yes.
But it is surely a pleasure, Nigel, to welcome Jerry Lloyd to the program. Talent personified, one of the gospel icons in Dominica, my former class teacher who taught me for about 4 years, Nigel. Yeah, all that time. Welcome, Jerry Lloyd. Good morning.
Good morning, Ivonia. How you doing? I won't call the school name. I'll just
No, not to say that, man.
Good morning to everybody in
Not to say
DBS
that,
Radio Land. Ivonia, who you have on the other side there?
Nigel Francis, with the same Nigel Francis.
I'm not talking to Nigel.
Okay, very good. Very good. I like that because every time we have a guest, it's Nigel alone they want to talk to.
But Nigel.
What's up, my brother?
Very good, very, very good. Nice, all is well. I want to send you somewhere early. You ready?
I ready.
Wow.
Singer man, sing me a song. Singer man, sing me a song. Doing one soul. Doing one soul. Doing one soul.
Niceness.
I hear you singing sweet harmony. I hear you singing sweet harmony. Doing one soul. Doing one soul. Doing one soul. Singer man, you know where you're coming from.
Wow.
I know exactly where you're coming from, my brother.
What a way to start, Nigel.
I love the connection again.
Wow.
Yeah, man. It's good to hear you now. It's been a while.
It's good.
Nigel, let me put back my glasses then.
You putting back your...
Yes, boy. Yeah, it will give me some strength. It let me feel important, But Nigel, let me give you a short story.
Why can't I
quickly.
hear you again, man?
You not hearing me? What? Are you hearing me, Nigel?
Well, I kind of hearing you far, but it's okay.
It might be the glasses, no?
We Papa.
It might be the glasses.
Wait,
yes,
so
I don't know.
Nigel, are you hearing me?
But I hearing you from a distance.
Okay,
You
take
have a song like that?
from a distance. Yes. Okay, webmaster, set us up
I
nicely.
I hearing you from a distance now.
Okay, let me see the webmaster can set us up from where he is.
Okay,
You hear me now? Okay.
You back on track.
But let me give you a quick short story. And I don't know if
Okay.
Sir remembers that, So I remember when I was at school, Nigel, I think I probably was in third form thereabout. And I had this beautiful beaded choker, Nigel, of sentimental value. Yeah, I must tell you that, of sentimental value. You're young.
Right.
I was beginning to know myself. Someone gave me a choker. I felt I could go to school if and button up my shirt way up. So here I was, Nigel, walking to school. And the shortcut we had by the CSA Center? Formerly the CSA Center, now is the PSU building. So we used to pass there to go to school. So I taking my time with my friend and we walking. Mr. Jerry Lloyd is way up the steps, sitting, positioning himself because, of course, he was very good when it came to discipline. So he had to discipline students. You had to come in early and you had to walk like you were, like you were busy. So he sighted me from afar and he's like, I don't say my name and my school name. And he's like, M, come here, take it out. Nigel. I froze for a moment. After close to 100 steps, no exaggeration, to get to him. So I had to hand it to him. But Nigel, let me tell you something to make the long story short. I never got my choker back. I want it back. In fact, I want it back. Seriously. And I don't know if you remember, but you know some things just stay on your mind? Well, that has stayed on my mind. So I want my choker. I want my choker back, Nigel. After all these years, give me my choker.
Nigel, two things I have to tell you. In 2000, I was going to Canada. I went to Canada, 2003 thereabout. And I knew I was going to encounter a particular student. I brought a choker up there.
Yeah, but
The same choker?
No, not M's choker.
Okay.
So when I met the student, I was like, "Hey, how you doing? You okay?" And I put the thing up. So give me a choker. I'm like, "What?" I have to apologize because I must tell you, I kept those things until 2016.
Yes, sir. Okay.
And I returned everyone to everybody.
But I did not get my choker.
No, but I will look just in case I have it somewhere. I will bring it to you.
Search for it. I can't even remember the color. I know it had some white and yellow and red and green and something
and black.
like that. Yeah, and black. Okay. But Nigel boy, anyway, those schoolgirl days of telling tales and biting nails are gone. Yeah. But in my mind, I know they will live on and on. Trust me. Give us your story. Who is Jerry Lloyd? Good morning again.
Jerry Lloyd. I suppose I could start with all the names that people use when they give accolades, but a boy, young boy, born in 1963, and whose household was filled with talent from the very onset. And so that in the process of time, all teasing and stuff was done in rhythm and rhyme. And I found out later that I had gifted parents on both sides, and that my grandparents, at least on one side, were highly gifted as far as music and these things were concerned. And so no small wonder that by the age of 5, I was singing, and by 7, writing songs. With a passion, of course, to play the bass guitar and the drums, none of which I played very early. But as a result of that passion and the singing and the writing, when I got to grammar school, and by the age of 11, I was already in Calypso competition with the likes of Hicksy, Monty Douglas, and the well-known King Shaky. And at the time, I remember we also had National Day competitions in Calypso, so I remember participating in both. And also from a young age, the Bells Combo, who had been very good at recognizing proteges, I would go to do some of the gigs with them very early on. And just another Dominican at that point, just wanting to express myself in everything that I had at my disposal. And so now, God knows how many years later, having gone through the trials, the tests, the introductions into music on a wider scale, introduction to the bands and all the genres of music that we were privy to through the, I guess, 60s, 70s, and 80s, 90s. And so having so much of that musical influence, it has also helped me with singing secularly in the first instance, and from 1979 in the gospel, which I have done, and of course you know that I do sing a few calypsos. I have written for quite a number of people, not only in Dominica but across the Caribbean, and still doing what I do, singing and still teaching, by the way.
Nigel, he made some shortcuts, and I know you are very good at that. So go ahead.
When you ask me
so we want to know more.
We're going to try and block those shortcuts.
Yes.
We're going to try and see how we can find him back in the lane. So let's go back to the fact that, you know, I mean, the early childhood, I'm Jerry. And for those who don't know, we'll get to the point of grammar school where you was removed from Jerry and became Christopher. But we'll get to that point in a while.
Mercy, Lord.
But in terms of growing up, early childhood, what was it like? I mean, was it the fact that you were surrounded by, you said surrounded by parents and family music, but in terms of like school wise, what was it like growing up then?
Uh, School was nice. School was nice. Of course, preschool was good. I went to Miss Winston School in Goodwill, well known, right across from Lindo Park. And
Mm.
I recall Miss Winston, Miss Charles, Miss George, the teachers we had at the time, very strict but very, very personable. And so it made the introduction to formal education very, 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 very easy. And importantly, it created a liking for books, for education, for reading. And so that was for me very healthy. Also, in those days, because of how we were brought up, it was possible at very early ages to go to school. After a while, you get dropped a few times, then you get to walk home from school. So order and discipline became part of the life very early as well. From Miss Winston School, I was introduced to and went to the Goodwill Junior High School at the time. And there again, school was nice. We did a lot of reading. We and at the time too, I remember work and homework and stuff like that was not like it is today, in the sense that when a child got homework, the child could do it. The likelihood of parents having to interject and assist was infinitesimal or small at the time, or little. But we went through that phase, and reading became important. Also, it was, as you know, it's interesting. I first got into formal singing when I joined a choir at Goodwill School. Yeah,
Mm. Mm.
yeah, I joined the
Interesting.
choir, and I sang there for a while until, of course, I passed the common entrance and I left for grammar school. Interesting enough, I remember there were some teacher. You know how you go to school and there are some teachers who, I mean, their influence is just strong, whether they teach you or not. And so the name of Grell Seraphin comes to mind. There
Mm.
was Ferdinand Frampton, Mr. Frampton, who of course is of DBS fame. I remembered not because he taught me, but because he played cricket with the boys, and I remembered he would bat. And I mean, if Mr. Frampton began batting, he was probably the only person batting for the day.
He had lad in batting.
Yes, he did, absolutely. And of course, between the bat and himself, he covered the wicket well. And
Hey, Papa. I tell you, you see that rhyme and reason?
and then I remember Mrs. Roberts comes to mind. She's deceased now, and Miss Liebert, very profound, very strong, and very influential. And so the journey through Goodwill School was, of course, a very good one for me. And then in 1974, I moved to the grammar school, like I said, having passed the common entrance, where life took on, I guess, from a secondary standpoint, it took on a different level of significance. First of all, walking into the years of puberty and stuff, and then getting introduced to music at that level. I recall too, because when I got to grammar school, the boys were short pants from first to third form and long pants from fourth to fifth. So from first to third you were a boy, and from fourth to fifth you were a young man.
Interesting.
And at that time, first to third formers had no business on the third floor.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, if you ventured to the third floor and you were walking on the corridor, you would probably feel a callot on one side. So you turn to see who callotted you, and you would be receiving callots from
the
the
other
time until you got to the end of the corridor. And
Yes,
the
sir.
guys would line up on both sides, and you'd get it. But then, of course, my brother, then now by Calypso fame, the explosion, was in fifth form. So I had the privilege of going upstairs,
Eh.
unlike a lot of the young fellas.
Eh.
And of course, he was into Calypso at the time with Shaky, Monty, Hicksy, and the guys. And so, by reason of that influence, I also became involved in Calypso very early.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I recall my first competition. I probably came off as the second runner-up. So I guess the talent was just banging where it was at the time, and so that became part of it. Interestingly enough, too, and something that a lot of people may not be aware of, I encountered, by the time I got to third form, we encountered Arthur Pascal, better known in Calypso as Bassie. And so Arthur was a musician, young musician, and he would come over, we would sit, we would play, and we would do stuff. And so with his influence very strong at the time, we, the brothers, along with himself, formed a band that we call B+. That's the original B+. And we played music for a couple of years, probably between third form and between second, third form and fifth form. When we got to fifth form, my father decided, look, exam times are here, you'll have to quit the band. And so we left the band at that time. But during that phase of time, I was able to encounter in a more personal way all of the bands that were playing cadence over the place. I recall specifically a cadence festival that the Gramax put on the St. Joseph Savannah. We were there, we played as well, and we would accompany Bells Combo to many of the gigs that they played. We played on the road. And Bassie at the time, very influential. As a matter of fact, through the years of Calypso, I always wondered why Bassie ever sang songs with many minors. Because when I knew him as a singer growing up, he was a very simple but effective melody singer. And as a matter of fact, right now in Calypso, his effectiveness is seen in the simple melody songs that he has written for many of the people, including Coco for Sale and Sour Sour in his last few showings at Calypso. And so it's interesting that we see him in his strength now. But that being said, he was a good influence, and that part of it gave us an introduction to music. At the time, my business was drumming and being the lead vocalist. And I remember practicing in Bells Combo band house, and we were singing, I don't know if you remember the Condom song, Nigel, from St. Lucia.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And so we were practicing that song when this fella came and stood at the door of the band house, and he said, let me play that for you all now. And that was my last day drumming. His name was Tosral. We called him Augustus. We called him Tosral. They called him Method. And he took on the reins of drumming for B+, and went on beyond that to play with Bells Combo. Very, very, very astute. Very, very, very good. And so very early music was all part of it. As a matter of fact, there was one particular year when Bells Combo put on a Calypso competition. And I remember the provoker being very angry because I beat him in that competition, and he couldn't understand how that little boy
could do that.
could do that. Of course, Shaky won that competition. Shaky being a prolific writer, singer, calypsonian, what have you. But it's been that kind of journey, and so within that, the cadence, the disco music of the day, the pop music of the time, the country and western music, the calypsos of old, the influence has always been very strong. The ballads of old, and of course with strong singers like Al Green, Teddy Pendergrass, there was so much influence. And so, of course, as my musical journey has continued, you can hear, though I do not mimic, but you can hear the influence of all of that through the years as I have sung and continued.
Wow. Nigel, I can ask a question?
But of course.
But I wonder if I could ask that question. Go ahead, Nigel.
Think about it still? Okay.
But Nigel, no, I just wanted to ask Jerry Lloyd, where did he, I mean, obviously when you listen to his story, I'm beginning to understand why it ties into the question I'm going to ask. Because of course he started singing at a very young age. He was on stage very early. He went into Calypso. He was a B+. The Bells Combo, so the confidence grew. The girls were there. So I wanted to ask him, Nigel, where did that swag come from? Where did that vary? Say vary, Nigel. Nigel, say it. You see, Nigel, say it. Where did that come from? That level of confidence. And vary doesn't mean anything bad. Eh?
I have to tell you.
Because you wear swag and vary like as elegantly as you wear a tuxedo. So it's like part of you. Where did that come from?
I have to tell you, I was born with the thing.
Hey.
There's nothing I could do about it. And I'm glad I was, though. I think to be without the swag is almost like being without the teeth. It's just there.
It was part of the package that you offered.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Nigel, I just wanted to find that out. I could not
So you
answer
get
that
your answer
school. I
today?
could not answer that school.
You could have.
Okay.
I might have, but anyway. Yes, Nigel, let's go. But I want some music, huh? We want Jerry to sing.
So that was like, in a sense, the kind of musical journey. What about sporting activities at school? Were you introduced to sports early, or was it just something that along the way you just jumped into it?
No, I have to warn you that my sports story is not a very good one. Yeah? But let me tell you though, school spirit was very, very well. Very strong in those days. And so I get into grammar school and find out that I'm in BJ, Benedict Joseph, the house.
Of course, the man. Let's go, BJ.
But at the time, BJ was not much of a name. And
Not at all.
I mean, we had some good athletes. We have had some good athletes, but we came through quite a time. And so, from first form, I was always interested in being part of athletics. Actually, football I played very well, and so I was always on BJ's football teams. But athletics didn't like me too much. My earlier stories of running races were like this: time. Here comes Lloyd.
But you look like someone who could burst the sprint well.
No, I'm on my way. Don't worry.
Okay.
And so, from first form to fourth form, man, I tried the cross country every year and failed. I was good at high jump, but somehow there were always so many fellas, so many people better. Because the way they did high jump, everybody comes and jumps, and by elimination, people get out.
Right.
So I was among the few before the last few. Always, man. The fellas were good, really, really good. And so sport was difficult for me in that regard. However, though, when I got to fourth form, of course, we were doing more exercising and jogging. At fifth form, my body was different. And so I started actually winning races and making the times and doing that in fifth form. As a matter of fact, the only time I ran the cross country in grammar school and made it was when I was in fifth form. And so most of my sports, Nigel, would have come from beyond actual secondary school. And so by the time I got into teaching, I was as fit as a fiddle and ready to take on the challenges, which I hope I did very well. As a matter of fact, history would prove, and Ivonia, you'll be happy to know, that the time of BJ's winnings of all types of competition came at the time when I was at the helm of BJ at grammar school.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, BJ doesn't, as far as I know and as far as I've searched, BJ does not have that in history prior to that time.
Yes, I can agree to that.
When I was at school, for the 5 years I was
I can
school,
agree to that. Even if I was Skinner, but I can agree to the fact that during that time, yes.
Yeah, the 5 years I spent at Dominica Grammar School, we were sort of struggling, but we were still very popular. But let me read a message quickly. Nigel, you think I should go ahead and read that message now?
But why not?
Okay, so the person is telling me his grandfather, Mr. Crescent Lloyd, had all the swag. He was known as Never Grow Old, a very classy man. And the person is saying that they are in your DNA as well.
They also called him Met Boog.
Let me say good morning to Laureen Barnes Roberts.
Good
so that's
God, Lauren, how you doing? Yes,
so Vary did not come from far.
No.
And then, of course, my other grandfather was not slack in that department either. So it came from both sides.
If you see, Joey Lloyd.
And it runs through the entire family.
Yes, it does. It does.
And look, I'm trying to get the Calypso in your name. Look,
Explosion.
Explosion. No, but he's
Black Diamond.
Right, Black Diamond. You can see
it runs through the entire family.
Yes.
And they passed it on to the offspring. So yes.
Yes, it's amazing that you could genetically pass on Vary, eh?
Yes. Nigel, let's say good morning to all the people listening, Nigel. So the messages are coming in. Let me say hello to Dr. Paula Abraham, Noreen Joseph, Rosalind Savre, Winnie and all the rest, Viria Murillo, Jean Etienne, so many people listening. I think Mr.
Jean Etienne,
Anthony Lockhart, and so many other people.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the
Yeah.
DGS crew is there. Nigel, someone is calling. Can we go ahead and take the calls now?
Go ahead. Go ahead and
All
do
right.
that.
Okay. Good morning, connecting the dots.
Hello, morning.
Good morning to you.
Yes, Edgar Hunter.
Edgar Hunter.
Mr.
DGS.
Edgar Hunter, how you doing, my brother?
I'm good in Niger, and I want to big up my my house master,
Hey.
Mr. Jerry Lloyd, and I just heard him say that the time when BJ did very well is when he was house master, and it's very true. It's to motivate you, and he just used to say you have to run cross country whether you choose or not. You know, so I mean, you're a really big motivator, and I really want to compliment him, and also I follow his music a lot, and I must say in terms of gospel music, Jerry is the best Dominic I've seen. And in Calypso, also he does a very good job. I think sometimes he gets pressed because they don't understand his style of messaging. But I want to compliment Mr. Jerry Lloyd, my former teacher, and I really want to congratulate you all on your program. Have a great day. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Edgar. Appreciate you. Nice hearing you.
Congratulations to you as well, Edgar. When Nigel messages come in there, go ahead.
I know the calls are going to keep coming one after the other. But in between, Jerry, in terms of like your early musical career, is there like a particular song that you can probably say might have influenced you or has stayed with you throughout all those years that you still keep singing occasionally?
Remember that question, Nigel, and hold this, Jerry Lloyd. Let's take another call. Good morning. Connecting the dots. Bonjour. Hello. Hello. Okay, yes, you're on.
I don't know why. Hello?
Hi, you are on.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering whether I got into the correct program. I heard a bonjour greeting.
Hey, bonjour.
But I just wanted to underscore out of Jerry's journey the importance of extracurricular activities in school.
Yep.
Because that was the foundation, part of the foundation, and contributed significantly to his life. You know, and I'm not sure whether in our school environment today that we have enough of those sort of activities that will bring out other dimensions of success to individuals. You know, I want to commend Jerry. I've probably bought every single album that he's produced.
Thank you.
My favorite song was "God Cares About You."
Wow.
That's my favorite song. You know, and I really want to urge him on as we all age together.
Hey, Nigel, you make out the voice there? Right. I did not make out that voice here. Care to say who you are?
Benjamin, Keith Benjamin.
All right. Okay, good morning.
Bye.
I know you have to answer this question Nigel asked earlier, and you may want to say something on what Keith just said, but let's get a little music. And of course, you have to do this a cappella for us as well, Jerry.
Things in life give you a hard time. Some of the people that you deal with give you a rough time, and you cry. Yeah. You're thinking of some of the things that you have been through, and now you're thinking in your heart, nobody cares about you, but I'm here to tell you that God cares more about you.
We go back to the telephone. Good morning on the overseas line. Hello. Yes,
hey, good morning, Ivor. Good morning.
Hey, how you doing? Good morning.
Yeah, Mr. Jerry, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How you doing?
I good to go in 1 second at a time, man.
Way to go.
Yeah, man. Nigel, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, my brother. How you doing?
That sounds like Mr.
Very nice.
The big
Yeah. You know, the thing is long time I want to ask Jerry that question, you know, because he has done several interviews, and I never really hear him expound on that too much. Yeah, Jerry, and I must say that Jerry is the one that revolutionized gospel music in Dominica. And I want to congratulate him for that, because at this time when he started, all he knew about gospel was country music. And when Jerry made his first album, It was recorded at Ken Robinson Studio, right, Jerry?
That's correct. Nature Island Studios.
In the Island Studio. I had the responsibility to transport Jerry and DH, Davis, Colin Lloyd, Eddie Lloyd every night after service to the studio. But before I ask Jerry that question, I want to just say one thing. So I in the studio one time and I working at DCP. And
You really going to tell that story?
I have to go to work in the morning,
Good,
but I
good.
have to stay all night up to 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, doing recording. I have to go to work. So I decided to take a snooze, boy. After and I start going at it there, snoring like crazy, man. And next thing, Ken Robinson say, get this guy out of there, man. Yeah, it is just something else, man. But Terry, I know that you are the one that revolutionized gospel music and everything. But what I really want to ask you, Jerry, is what impact our pastor at the time, Pastor Sam Augustine, had on your career, because he was the kind of guy I know that give you the leeway to do your thing, and he never stopped you. You always said, I tell you, if you can handle it, go for it. Because I can remember one time they had a festival, the Catholic Church put in a festival in a Mao Women's School, and you were invited, and you went to ask him permission, and he said, can you handle it? Can you guys handle it? He said, yeah, we can handle it. He said, go ahead, and you guys went and performed there. So I would like to know what impact that Pastor Samuel Augustine, Pastor Sam, had on your life. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
A very, 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 very strong influence, because he was part of the reason for my development and maturity to the extent that I did, not just during his time, but past his time. He was one of the, before I get to the music part of it, he was at the time, preaching was very common. I mean, everybody could stand and shout and scream from behind the pulpit. But he was one of the few people who sat and actually taught the Bible, so that things began to make sense in terms of the understanding of the scriptures. That's one. And the second thing about him that I think was very, very profound, that helped me a lot, he was the first person, first pastor, first teacher of the Bible that I met who was willing to say, I don't know, I will go back and look for the answer and I will come back. And he would do that effectively, and he would actually come back the next time we came together and bring answers to whatever the questions had been that he did not have the answers to before. So for me, he was real, and he was very, very instrumental in my maturity. In terms of music as well, I think he was the first pastor that I had who was actually encouraging of me doing the kind of music that I did. Prior to that, there had been so much, well, not the first pastor, but let's say the first pastor who was my pastor, who was that encouraging. Because prior to that, there had been so much opposition in terms of what to do, the kind of music that could be done, and the heavy anti-Caribbean music sentiment that was in the churches at the time. And so he was influential, let me say it again, in my maturity and also in pushing my music forward. He also was very, very encouraging of me, like you mentioned that festival at the Maho School, but he was also very influential in pushing me to do what I did outside of just the jurisdiction, if you please, of the four walls of the church that I went to at the time.
Right, very interesting. Nigel, I know you asked the question. Keith Benjamin called just before this last caller, and he made a very important point about extracurricular activities. I'm not sure if you remembered what Keith said, Jerry Lloyd, and you'd want to share on that as well.
No, Nigel's question was to do with whether there's any particular song that has followed me through the ages that I continue to sing, in that sense of speaking. My best answer to this is I remember the influences, and I remember them very strongly. But to do what I do, it can be a bit difficult to have one particular song, because there are so many moments, there are so many situations that I've had to sing to or sing through. so that in the process of time, the songs have had to be different because as you address different situations, different songs become pertinent through the course of things.
By the way, Vado is saying she's here, she's locked on. And as I said, quite a few. We'll go through some of the messages a little later on the program. But Jerry Lloyd, I think Nigel, can he just sing us a song now? At least a verse and a chorus?
Yes. He should sing us a song. And it's up to him,
water.
whatever one he wants to do.
Okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to sing the verse and chorus of the first song that I ever wrote. A lot of people think that the first song I wrote was Satisfaction Guaranteed. It's not. The first song I ever wrote has never been recorded, but let me see what I can do this morning.
Sorry, let's connect.
I've been hurt, tested and tried. This has occurred many a season. I've been fooled and I wondered why. But praise God, He has a reason. Oh, how many times have I been left in the dark, been put off track because of someone else's lark? How many times have I been left none the wiser? Praise God, Jesus has the answer. Yeah.
This is profound. This speaks.
And you've not recorded this one?
No, I haven't.
Wow.
What's the reason? Is there a reason behind that, or you just not the time yet?
It never came amongst the picks at the time.
Oh.
That's all it is. And again, as the seasons changed, then the need to, I guess, to use other songs has come through. And in my reaching back, which I have done, I have never selected that one. But I take that from you, Nigel, and I will give it attention of importance to get it recorded and put out there.
Let's go back to the telephone, connecting the dots. Good morning.
Peace be unto each and every one.
To you as well. Good morning.
Good morning to your distinguished guest, Mr. Lloyd. I am a Barbadian, and I met you at a concert a few years ago.
Good morning.
Yes, I can remember seeing you on stage. No, at that time, Shirt Jacks or Bush Jacks, we used to call them.
Yes.
I think it was a dark, I can't remember if it wasn't gray, but it had a dark with stripes, I think, in it. I think so. And I watch you. I have your LP. It have a red label. I was looking for it just now, but I will have to go.
Oh, that must be Let Me Go.
Yes, I love that one. Let me go. Let me go. You're like, I love that song. You say it before me. So that is one of my favorite songs on that one. And the one you sang before, when I am in my lowest time, in my valleys.
Yes.
You and Joseph Noyes and Sister Marshall and Promise, I play that music. So glad to hear you this morning. If you are that, happy Father's Day in advance to the host. I wanted to the host, to the staff at DBS, the fathers to be, godfathers, fathers, everyone, and to all my loved ones there in Dominica and to Dominica the Caribbean, and we're happy and a blessed Father's Day. And I wanna.
Hi.
I must say, I watched it is EMO yesterday, and I felt very proud to see the girl guys and everyone, out there. Good job to Josette and everyone. Congratulations to you all. I was very, very happy and proud. Anyhow, all the best to you all. Stay safe. I see the numbers going back up with COVID. That's everybody to stay safe, and those on the road, hands on the wheel and eyes on the road. It's a pleasure speaking to you again, sir.
So nice talking to you as well, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Jerry Lloyd is our guest on Connecting the Dots this morning.
I in so much sin, and I living in so much corruption. Why? Telling people every day
When you hear your song being played, of course, Jerry, you played it at your home as well, and you sing a lot, I know. But when you hear your song being played, be it on the radio or wherever, what goes through your mind? What is happening? How do you feel at that time?
It depends. For one thing, I appreciate more and more the journey. Sometimes I cry, and sometimes it's helping me as well because the message is sound. It's not just for everybody else; it's for me first, and so it does that. Sometimes I shake the head a little, depending on what they're playing, because like with the Calypsos, it's bothersome sometimes that people don't seem to understand as well, but it's all part of the process. Um, if I can,
Sure.
let me go somewhere. Paben spoke about me and my influence in the gospel in Dominica, and then this lady from Barbados calls. Thank you so much. And actually, the influence is much stronger and much wider than just Dominica. When I went to Barbados for the first time, 1986. Promise had invited me to do a concert over there, so I went to be with them. And at the time, they were having a gospel song competition amongst 50 Bajans, and not one person was singing a Caribbean song. Not one. And so my introduction into Barbados created a revolution, which included a few things. One, I taught the band Promise to play cadence, because that was not something that was within their repertoire genre of music. Also, I recall coming off stage and somebody walks up to me wide-eyed and says to me, "Boy, Bajans don't like that kind of music." But they played it anyhow. And so they called me on for an encore performance. And I remember my name became like a household name in Barbados because they played the video of that concert until they would drop out, and they kept on playing it. And so Promise, the guys from Promise, hello, big up, and thanks to you. They've been my friends over the years. We've gotten to do a few other things. I recall going to Curacao and finding there in a song contest with 14 people in the solo category, and I think between 7 and 9 in the group section, and the only Caribbean song there, Jerry Lloyd, "What You Gonna Do When the Party Is Over?" And traveling across the Caribbean, we had. I mean, it was an introduction, and we've seen all kinds of reactions, from people being shocked, from people being happy, from people being angry, from people. Well, in Dominica, we used to have the Pea Patrol. You say Jerry Lloyd is coming on to sing Pea Patrol. People begin to walk out. Too many people to pee within this space of time of the song, but the whole set of people walk out. The song is about to end, and the patrol comes back in. It's been quite a ride.
Wow.
My mind goes to Jamaica. When I went to Jamaica in 1990, I met the mother of Toots from Toots and the Maytals.
Wow, Toots and the Maytals,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And at the time, I think Toots had just made a profession of faith, and she was telling me, we not like the reggae in Jamaica. And at the time, it was taboo to play reggae in church. As a matter of fact, the well-known Lester Lewis has penned a song called... he speaks about Jesus being better than MacGyver and whatever and what have you. And he actually penned that song after he heard the song Jesus is Sweeter. And so the influence has been great. It has been strong. Also, Belize has had that. The music has changed a whole lot as well. And so it has been my privilege to take the gospel in the genres that we use across the Caribbean. And like the lady from Barbados said, the only person who had been doing anything of that nature before me would have been Joseph Niles. And so it's been a journey with strong persecution, but a worthwhile journey. And when I look now and I listen to the way people use the music, not just across the Caribbean, but across the world, it pleases me to know that while they were suffering through the process, that we have made a mark that will never, never, never be forgotten.
Wow.
And for that, I thank God.
Let's go back to the telephone. You are on. Okay, you'll have to call back. Jerry Lloyd is our guest this morning on Connecting the Dots. Yes, Nigel.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting journey.
It is.
And one that, I guess, upon reflection, Jerry, it now there's a certain level of if not satisfaction, but certainly a level of
Hold
more
it there, Nigel.
calmness.
Let's just take
Go
this
ahead,
call.
go ahead.
Hold it there. You are on. Good morning. It's connecting.
Yes, I was calling, but he said it for me. Joseph Nice, when Joseph Nice first started, people didn't really like it at first. But then after then, when Joseph Nice in the concert, the next day the pastors, or the Monday, if it is a Sunday, they have to go to the lumberyard called Wingers Breakout. At that time, it was soft stones and rock around the church cellars, and they will be all broken down and everything, because you can't get in, but everybody where they can, a vantage point that they can see Joseph now. So he leave a legacy here. So it's just like your gentleman there, you know. We don't like change, but then when we understand it, then we appreciate it. God bless.
All right.
God
I
bless
know
you
as
too.
a broadcaster, long ago, there was not much from Dominica that we could play. Of course, Jerry Lloyd really revolutionized gospel music for us. So back in the day, we'd be playing a lot of Joseph Niles and the Consolers.
Yes, yes.
You know, the Goretti Singers, you know, and people like that. But Jerry Lloyd really did a lot. I can remember when Jerry Lloyd came on board, and of course later on we'd have several other groups like CG and others. But this lady who died, trying to remember her
Corinne
name,
Durant.
Corinne Durant, you know. But Jerry Lloyd really did a lot for broadcasters, for announcers, even for DJs as well. When he came on board, and he really showed his mettle, he really showed his strength. But Nigel, you were making a point even before that caller.
Yeah, and even before, let me just say hi to Liz. Of course, Jerry, she's listening. Liz and Debbie, they're locked in right now.
Wait,
So,
Debbie, as in Debbie used to be Williams or is Williams?
yes.
Hey,
yes,
Debbie,
yes,
how you doing? And Liz, how are you? Good God.
yes. It's all over. It's all over.
That's a lot of
But
years, man.
that's why we connect. You know?
Yeah.
That's why we connect on a Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
But Jerry, in terms of something that someone always wanted to find out, in terms of you entering into the Calypso arena, right? And your very first, well, entering again, if you want to put it that
Yes.
way, because prior to your transformation, you were of course involved in a band. So, I mean, were you scared, or were you concerned, or were you worried that what the reaction was going to be like when you re-entered that competition?
Before you even answer that, let me just say quickly, by the way, Breaker is saying hi. You're related to Breaker as well, right?
Yeah, Breaker,
Breaker
like
saying-
Lord Breaker.
Hey,
Gail-
Papa.
Yes.
He was a guest. with
Listen.
us once.
Breaker and the Gaylords used to practice. As a matter of fact, the bass guitarist was also my cousin Clayton Geese. They used to practice like just across the street, across a yard, and across a wall from us. I remember us running across there, jumping over the wall, and just sitting there and listening to them. As a matter of fact, the Gaylord Power, is the reason why I learned the smell of the band house.
The smell.
Yeah, the scent of
There's an aroma.
instruments.
Okay. That's wondering.
All right.
So yes, Breaker
Yes,
was a former
Nigel.
guest. Nigel, you were saying?
Yeah, so I was just asking, I mean, in terms of you re-entering the Calypso arena, I mean, were you concerned, worried? Were you prepared for the reaction you were going to get?
Let me tell you what I did. It's amazing because I came to do Calypso in 2006. The song I sang in 2006, the first song, was written in 1995.
Wow.
So I had my personal struggles with the process beforehand, because once I wrote the song, I realized that song was not going to be walking the normal lines that every other song of mine goes, you understand? And so I sought advice on that for a while, and I left it alone. It came back up in 2000. I left it alone, and in 2005, when that thing came back up, it just would not leave me alone. I knew I had to go. So one of the things I did was to sit and count the cost. What would it cost me to sing Calypso? I thought, okay, one, the church is going to be really mad, and they're probably going to stop me from singing. Two, it's going to mess with the sale of my gospel albums. Three, I would probably not be doing concerts for a while because people would stop inviting me to some places. So I knew the cost was going to be high. But I knew it was something that I had to do. And so I didn't come scared, because I came knowing and expecting the cost to be what it was. I didn't expect the support. and I expected that people would have a whole lot of things to say. The only thing that's very interesting that nobody had a lot to tell me. A lot of people spoke about me, but nobody. I can probably count on one hand the number of people who approached me about that at all. Personally, I mean.
But
And that
when,
song,
when
I
you
mean, has
go
that
ahead,
that,
Nigel.
that song actually resonated quite a bit because, I mean, I remember people listening to a particular line where it says, something about you had to stick your neck out. So I don't remember the exact lyrics of the song right now. I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah. How does it go? I stick out me neck so you'll understand. Jesus is my salvation, is my land. Who else to brave it? To try to save it, to tell you the truth I say.
Okay, I deduct points from you. You're on stage and you stuff like that.
Well,
you forget your song, man.
You can lend me that.
Anyway.
Yes.
But Nigel, by the way, quickly, guess who is in Dominica? And who is saying hi as well?
Oh boy.
Our former guest who made us laugh so much we were in stitches. Copella ears and anyway.
You mean
the rabbit.
Good morning to you.
Hey, Rabbit is there?
Yes, the rabbit.
Hey, you follow?
You follow, I tell you. We had him as a guest once and
okay.
Anyway. But when you entered the Calypso arena, Jerry, did you feel like you were in unfamiliar territory, like you were in an unnatural environment and had to learn to adapt to so many things that you were not accustomed to? Although, of course, you said earlier you would have sung with Bells Combo and you did some other gigs. I think, was it B Plus you mentioned?
Yes.
But did you get that feeling like you were in an unfamiliar territory, that you were not so even welcomed there?
Well, I mean, I know I wasn't necessarily very welcome. And the joke of that is, the further I got into the competition, the more it showed. So, for example, I do the eliminations. What, boy? Some people like, Mr. Backslide. Other people like, Jerry Lloyd in Calypso. But okay, welcome, brother. Then I cross to the quarterfinals. Then I cross to the semis. Then I make the finals. And then you hear fellas begin to say things like, boy, Mr. is a Christian, boy. Mr. Second song can be a fast song, But personally, no. Here's what it is for me. I am aware to some extent of what it is that I carry. And because I am confident in the message that I bring, then I suffer no intimidation from being on any platform to deliver what I have to. I think once I got past the butterflies of singing at a very early age, I've crossed that bridge and I'm not coming back. I bring a message and I bring it with strength. I think everybody else who has a message ought to bring it that way, and if they do, then we see what happens.
Yes, Nigel?
Yes.
Okay, so we have someone else. I think you can go in, my friend. So let's see how we can make this work, though. Let's see how we can make this work. You might see someone passing across. But yes, I have company with Papa. Look, I have DS there. We are former Calypsonian. A former Calypsonian is with us. And I think he's tagging Jerry. He had to run across to DBS with Nigel, even sweating, just to say hi. Just to say hi. He had to run across. Okay, so tell us who you are. Good morning.
Good morning to the listeners to DBS Radio.
Nigel, you make out the voice already? DS, we I said. Nigel. Okay. Good morning to you, my friend.
Good morning to Nigel. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to all the listeners.
Hey.
And of course, the master control. Good morning to you, my dear.
Good morning to you, my friend. Tell us who you are. Tell us who you are, man. Yes, you don't need a headphone.
Well, I guess maybe the voice persons might have recognized Duncan Stowe. I was driving along and listening to DBS, and I couldn't help but stop to make some sort of contribution. I'm on my own normal Saturday business, but I had to stop to say good morning to the listeners and good morning to a master of the art, Jerry Lloyd.
Good morning. Thank you.
Wow. Good morning to you, Duncan.
You know,
we certainly appreciate you taking, the 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5, whatever it takes.
I tell you, Duncan, burst a sprint there, boy.
Again, Duncan.
Duncan, burst the sprint, I tell you.
No, 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 no. Nigel is just unfortunate.
Yeah.
I'm trying to use because we were not organized, and I'm just passing through.
Yes, yes.
I'm trying to listen, and I'm trying to hear what's going on whilst
Papa.
I'm being Okay.
Okay, it's okay,
I
Duncan.
think
Just go ahead.
It's okay.
We're
It's
hearing
okay.
you clearly.
Yeah, great, great, great. You know, I grew up in a period in my teens when intelligent lyrics and creative music ruled the wave. And of course, Jerry grew up in that period.
Yes.
So whether it was the Gaylord Sport Union, whether it was Exile One, whether it was the Mighty Sparrow, whether it was Osibisa, no matter what the genre of music, you had to come with really creative music, original lyrics, and you really had to do something which was artistic to really, really find yourself on the radio and be a popular artist. And I think Jerry Lloyd represents that particular era
Wow.
and that particular period. And I think he will continue to be one of the best out of Dominica in terms of his creativity. And I always remember a line that was shared with me by David Rudder. When there was a lot of controversy with David Rudder as a Calypsonian, and person say David Rudder not really singing Calypso, etc., etc., David Rudder backed out in terms, but he continued to create. And he said, you know, I'm an artist, and, you know, I can't write for judges. And, you know, I'm not in the business of judges judging me. So whilst you were on the topic of Calypso, I was passing by, and I said, no, I have to stop by. And to my mind, Jerry Lloyd is a master of the art. So maybe that's why a lot of his songs, when they are written, they are creative, they are original, and they may not find themselves in terms of being crowned. But those of us who understand, appreciate, we love him, and we know that he's one of the best.
Thank you, sir.
Wow, this is deep, Nigel.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Can I
yes,
take
yes.
my exit, please?
Duncan Stowe, okay, but just know that we have you down on our list as one of the guests in time to come. Right, Nigel?
We
have
definitely
Duncan
do.
Stowe as one of our
We
guests
definitely
in time to
do,
come,
'cause
so
we know
we'll
he
talk
has
to him.
his story to tell. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for the
Yes.
invitation.
Thank you.
Great show, people.
All right,
Thank you,
thank
Duncan.
you so
Enjoy.
much.
Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Appreciate
thanks,
it.
So,
thanks.
so Nigel,
Definitely
I know you're on Facebook and you are seeing everything, but I mean to look at how Jerry is looking at Duncan when Duncan is like, wow, you can see this humility, you know, emanating from Jerry Lloyd, and I was really moved by that. I was really moved.
unfortunate, brother, that
Wow, you seen this, Nigel?
a good show.
Yes, I'm
You seeing
definitely
this,
happy.
Nigel?
I was
I am.
I
I
didn't
am.
plan to come in here.
Wow,
So I have to wear my mask.
wow.
My brother, you are one of the best.
Thank you, sir.
You are one of the best. Indeed, you are one of the best.
Nigel, I want to cry.
This is profound, and
Wow,
I know Jerry with his
wow.
sometimes there's divine intervention.
This moved
Sometimes
me.
things happen without it having to know, even know it's going to happen.
Mhm.
And it's just one of those moments. It just underscores, in a sense, I mean, you know, the power of the unknown, and when it's going to happen, it will happen.
Mhm.
So it's just one of those moments, and we appreciate it.
Jerry Lloyd. This touched you, huh?
Yeah, it does. It did. It has. I'll tell you what, though. I am aware that much of what I do have done, my influence on music generally and across the lines, will probably be recognized in time. But I do what I do for the love of the gospel, 1. 2, I do what I do for the love of music. 3, I do what I do for the art form. And If I was to tell you some of the things that I am responsible for in terms of influence in music, it might shock you just a little bit. The little things that happen that people don't necessarily recognize. But God knows, and I keep doing what I do.
Oh, give us your passage, I just want to relax a little and take this in.
Well, you want me to sing it here now,
yes,
right?
Yes, sing it.
Okay, you don't want to play the one you have.
No.
Nigel, some people I know, eh? Yeah. Let me do that again. Yeah. Mon kopwan ki lel mi mwen, ke moun kay mwen. Moun ki ka vini, fait tout bitin epi mwen. Yo oui epi mwen, mais derrière mwen, yo ka mal parler mwen. Un seul bitin mwen connaître, mon ka toujours dit comme moi, yo pas sa troué moi. Non. Yo pas sa troué moi. Who me say, yo pas sa troué moi. Yo pas sa troué moi. Okay, time to work.
Wow, Nigel.
but let me ask Jerry though.
Yes.
I mean, in terms of the Kadas genre and your reasoning behind to keep it going even in gospel, was that also a concern of yours that it wasn't going to be accepted by our people?
Well, let me tell you this now. I never had a concern about people not accepting anything I did, you know. It was what I had to do. I did it. The acceptance was up to the people. The only thing I kept ensuring was that the message was sound, profound, and based on the word. So, for example, this song, Yo Pasa Trume, you know the number of people that think that song is a song of Mepui? You know the number of people who have played that song as a song of Mepui?
Yes.
And people who have played that song to mess up their neighbors and to gong na de this and to provoke that. Do you know that that song actually comes from about 4 verses of scripture now? One of them says, I shall not die but live and declare the works of my God. You pass a tramway. One of them says, some men's sins go before them and some follow after going into judgment. Well, if some men's sins go before them, some will do vin. If some follow after, so you there. And there's a portion of scripture that talks about if it had been an enemy who had reproached me, I would have prepared myself against him. But it was you, my equal. We walked into the house of God in company and had sweet fellowship together. And one more verse of scripture that says, a man's enemy shall be there his own household. Si lel mwen te moun de wa, on te ke preparer pour yo. Mais c'est moun ki hod kay mwen même. So it's the word, and people just interpreting things the way they do. But I'll tell you what though. My concern regarding Canas Nigel would have been that it was an art form, but hey, first of all, Canas nice, eh?
Nice, infectious
nice,
beats.
you know.
Tell you.
Oh,
And,
yes.
and whether you playing quicker song like Reflex or slow song like Milk and Honey,
Yeah.
that thing has a groove to it. It's
Because let me tell you,
beautiful
I really
music.
take my foot on your passage.
Well, you
I
probably,
took my foot. I
you
can remember
probably
once.
would have and you should have.
No, but I tell you, man, that beat, you can't just stand still in Nigeria. I mean, please, even
no.
if you're in church and you hear this being played, you just have to move, you know.
And so over the years also, it was evident to me nobody was playing Cadas. Like, there was one time it was like a whole lot of old Cadas songs, Ophelia and myself, like locally, and probably like Gordon doing his things with some of the other groups that he worked with outside. While the French took Cadas and ran with it. And so my continuance with that genre became like upholding, if you please, our cultural end in the midst of the propagation of the gospel.
Nice, nice, nice. But do you make it like a conscious effort, Jerry? Like when you putting together the your albums, is it a conscious effort to ensure there's a calypso in there, there's a Kudaso one in there, or is it just whatever inspires you, you put it on there?
Um, no. Within the framework of inspiration, I do choose across the genres. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Gotta have calypso in there, gotta have cadence in there, gotta have reggae in there, and of course, I love ballads, so I do that all the time. And here and there, I dabble with a little funk, a little American stuff, as the case may be.
Jerry Lloyd is our guest this morning on Connecting the Dots. The people who were calling a short while ago, you can continue to call. Sorry, I did not take the calls, you know. That was a time when Jerry, of course, was playing your pass at Chwimwe. But I tell you, the response is overwhelming. Let me just go quickly through just at least two messages. And someone is saying, that's someone in Sacramento, California, great guest, Jerry, and his beautiful, inspiring songs. Have a blessed and wonderful day. Another wonderful show
you.
this morning. And that person is really thanking you for what you have done. Someone again, that's Winnie Green. Good morning. As you know, my love for your show is constant. And anyway, let's go on. Please give my love to Jerry and tell him I am one of his number one fans.
Thank you.
Love his music, very inspirational. And it really takes you out of your darkest days when the chips are down. And the person is also saying that all of his songs speak of life's events. One of his songs that touched my heart was the Calypso about child molestation. So the messages continue to come.
Jerry, I mean, as you know, you currently you're still teaching.
I'm sorry, Nigel's voice dropped.
My voice dropped. Am I better now?
Are you here, Nigel? Okay,
Can you
yes,
hear?
Nigel.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes, you gave me a
So,
thumbs up.
so I was saying in terms of what you do currently, I know you're still teaching.
Yes.
What about teaching that you feel keeps you going in terms of trying to continue in that particular profession? I mean, we did it back then together at DGS. It's been a long time, and then you're still into the teaching field. What about teaching?
Nigel, teaching likes me.
Yes.
Listen, honestly, I love teaching, but teaching loves me,
Do you still have that excitement in you as a
Absolutely,
teacher?
that's not going anywhere.
Wow.
Listen, I tried to stop teaching. I went to St. Martin and they asked me to teach. They begged me to teach. They told me if you teach, you'll get paid well. I wasn't interested in teaching again. As a matter of fact, it might surprise you. I managed a gospel radio station for 3 years in St. Martin. I wasn't trying to teach. And then one singular day, one day before the CXC exams, 2004, a gentleman asked me to help his daughter with accounting because she was having her struggles with that. I helped the girl on one day. The next year I was back in school teaching. And so I've done that. When I came back here, I worked with Vibes Radio for a while. I was with Voice of Life for a while. And then an opening came up at Nigel. An opening came up at SMA Gasson.
Not to mention SMA. Nigel will, not to mention SMA, I can see his nose. Look
So
at how his nose is.
you hear me, right? No, I'm laughing because I'm thinking SMA sent you over. Now grammar school sent me back.
I know, right?
Yep.
And so, yes, I'm back in the classroom. I'll tell you, it's a different place, man. It's a different place. But I enjoy what I do. And so the prospect of influencing and inspiring students to become actually drives me, and I am really, really happy to be doing this at this point.
Has the teaching profession changed a lot? If you were to compare when you started to what it entails now, what is happening now, what do you miss?
Well, teaching will always be teaching. So in that sense, the profession remains the same. I think what has changed a whole lot is the level of, well, first of all, the administrative support for teachers, both from a school and ministerial or governmental standpoint, has changed drastically. There's not as much support. As a matter of fact, when things are good, it's the students, the parents, and how wonderfully they do. When things are bad, it's the teacher. I think also there are and probably justifiably so many more restrictions as to what teachers can do, the amount of leeway we have to operate within. And while that is so, I think there's so much more required of teachers, and then there's a whole lot more parental influence slash interference, which I don't think is doing the students as well as it should. We grew up as young students learning to be respectful and responsible. We knew that if we messed up at school, our parents were coming to school. They were not coming for the teachers, they were coming for us. We behaved ourselves in such a way that our parents never had to come to school, so that if we saw our parents at school, we knew they were probably coming to turn the school upside down because the school had really messed up. Now, if you see a parent coming to school, you know this parent is coming after some teacher for too many times, and they probably come in for something that the student did that the student needs to be reprimanded for, but they're coming at the teacher to justify student behavior. It's terrible. And so it is within that kind of scenario that we now teach, and yet the need to influence and to continue to be a good source of help continues. I think one of the things that people need to understand is this. If teachers are people who are going to help your students to grow, you probably better trust them to that degree, and you probably better be willing to support, because we continue to do what needs to be done for students to grow. I will say that you have people who have not been good examples, but that is the case in every profession and in every situation. For example, have you ever wondered where was the last place the dentist had his hand before he puts it in your mouth? No, you just go to the dentist and open your mouth anyway. When you go to see your doctor, have you thought about the other doctors who probably don't do it? No, you just go to the doctor and get your stuff done. And in the same way, I think the teaching profession needs to be given that kind of significance again, so that we can do effectively the job that we have to do for the students and for the people that we must grow to become the citizens of tomorrow.
How long do you intend to go on teaching, Jerry?
Until I stop. Don't bother me.
Until you stop. This is your first. I know you taught at the Dominica Grammar School, and you said you taught in St. Martin.
In St. Martin,
as well.
yes, that's correct.
Is this now you're teaching an all-boys school?
Yes.
As opposed to a co-ed institution?
Yes, that's my first experience. With
okay.
That.
All right. SMA.
Yes.
What is your motto again? Ora et labora, is that?
Yes. All right, Labar.
Okay, Nigel. I just want
Look and pray.
Okay.
Yes.
And what is the Dominica Grammar School motto, Nigel?
Men sana. Oh, sorry.
Men in San Roque. Some.
Nigel, stop.
Come on,
Let
Nigel.
me handle that, please.
Get
I'm
it
just
right.
joking.
I got you.
Tell us, Jerry, what it is again.
Men sana incorporate sano. A healthy mind and a healthy body.
All right. Glenda Castle, by the way, is saying congratulations to you, Jerry. She
Thank
would
you,
like
Glenda.
to hear I See Water. But anyway, let's go.
Y'all have that somewhere in there.
I See Water. Yes, yeah. I know. We'll try to get this. Yeah. Nigel, look at the time
so
already.
Jerry, in terms of, connections with other artists across, be it gospel artists, be it, Calypso, whatever it is. I mean, what has been the collaboration like with other artists across the region?
I have been able to meet and do work, if you please, to some degree with artists across the international divide. While limited, but I have been able to do that. In terms of actually doing collaborative recordings with artists, that is not an area that I have ventured into to any large degree. I think part of the reason for that is sometimes when people want to connect, which is a good thing, the continuity of communication to make some of these things happen. And then sometimes I think people make promises and then they get busy in their lives, so they don't necessarily continue the flow of conversation. So these have been a few limitations. But I believe in the process of time now, as a matter of fact, now is probably a time when I can do a whole lot more of that, and in particular to inculcate and encourage younger artists to go and to grow. There's a Dominican gentleman by the name of J. Crow, with whom I've begun discussions about doing something collaborative. So that'll become interesting. And I've had talks like that with Promise, who has continued to plow the route in the gospel, and so we'll see some things in
Cool.
times that's coming.
Are you writing a lot these days, though, Jerry?
I'm writing a lot these days, no. I think when the summer vacation comes up, my production and writing will step up again. There are a number of projects and songs that I actually have begun penning. I know exactly where I want to go with them, but I will give them that kind of time more so in the coming summer vacation, and from there I will continue that thrust.
Nigel, have you ever seen Jerry perform that song, Let Me Go?
Oh yes,
And you see his
and
movements
and
on
and and, and,
there,
and I will tell you,
Nigel, and he would take the mic and just set it in his next hand, and he does this effortlessly. And wow, Jerry just it's just a production that you just have to enjoy. Apart from just singing,
yes.
he moves on stage.
Oh yes,
You know,
I will tell you when Jerry came back and he had his first concert at the Iraq House of Culture. I'll tell you that much. Um, it was a sold out show, and of course we will be, there were so many people out there still, and I found myself, whether by default or not, I found myself having to assist and having to go over to Wow to get additional chairs to bring into the
yeah,
Iraq.
I remember that. I remember
Yes.
that. We sent for 100 chairs that night.
Exactly, and had to facilitate that and get it going because it was his first
Okay.
concert. Having released that particular CD and so on, and everyone wanted to have gotten a piece of that particular time and that particular concert, and sold out at Arawak. And I think it's probably one of the more, how would I put it? I think probably one of the better concerts in a sense because it was the first one after a while. So, that was interesting to have that. But Jerry, I mean, tomorrow is Father's Day, right? Is there any particular song in your repertoire, any particular song that you think would be fitting for fathers?
Um, well, not recorded repertoire, but repertoire nonetheless. I want to sing a song to a very, very special somebody. If you can take the time off, I'd like you to join me as I sing. Daddy, oh, I love you. Ooh, ooh, Daddy, oh, I love you. Ooh, ooh. Let me try this. Born on the 5th day of January 1963, I became the son of my mother and my daddy. Well, I am grateful he took the time to bring me here this way. And so my heart cries in gratitude here today. Daddy, oh, I love you. Ooh, ooh, Daddy, oh, I love you. Ooh, ooh, I love you. Ooh, ooh, I love you.
Yes, sir.
Wonderful.
And Jow.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wow, this call,
To
this
all
cry.
to all the fathers, who've nurtured and who've carried and who has graced their sons and daughters in their presence. Happy Father's Day when it comes around tomorrow.
Here's what I'm gonna do. There are some people who don't like their fathers, period. for all kinds of reasons. One, because some of them have seen their fathers do things that they don't understand but they're unhappy with. Some have been influenced because they've been told things by their mothers and other people about their fathers, and so they don't like their fathers. But hear this much. No daddy means no me. And if you think about it, your father could have put you on a coconut branch somewhere in the bush to die in the sun. But he didn't. He could have put you in one of them plastic bags, Ivonia, looked at you and said, die, sucker. But he didn't. He put you in there so you could live. And so to think that my father could have made so many other decisions aside from having me, but he did. And so for every good moment, for every time that I have laughed, or for every good thing that has happened to me in my life, and for every challenge, for every influence, I have to thank God for my father, because without him I would not be here. Daddy-o, ooh, daddy-ho, daddy-o, I love you.
Nigel, Francis, what a way to end this morning.
Yes.
This is deep. I mean, I just want to go back and listen to this, Nigel. The entire production, everything. The fact when Duncan still just came in because he had to come in. You know, he felt he got that urge to just come in the studio. The songs that Jerry sang, and this last one in particular, that cry, Daddy O.
Yes.
Wow, Nigel. This is a good program, connecting the dots.
It is. We connect. We connect on a deeper level. We connect. You know, we one of the things you always said you wanted to do on this particular program was to make sure the connection is not just in chit chatting, but a connection that brings out some positivity, and at the same time allows us to grow as a people. So Jerry, man, it was a pleasure sharing the moments with you and connecting again. Our connection is much more than this, like you and I know.
Yeah.
So, that connection continues. There were times when, together we went through our own trials and tribulations and everything else. And, we spent our times together ensuring that we grew from it. So, thank you for those moments. Thank you for connecting. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for being who you are in terms of taking the gospel wherever it allows you to go. That, I think, needs to be recognized, that Jerry is one of the artists who practices and lives, in a sense, on a daily basis. What is written, he actually shows it up. That as a person, I will go out there regardless of where the situation is, whether it's in a secular environment, whether it's in a Catholic environment, whether it's in a sports, wherever it is, that you take me, lead me, and I will go. And that I appreciate you for, my brother.
I tell you, Nigel, these are the heroes. These are the
much.
heroes in our country, in this beautiful land, Dominica. We see people, well, in Jerry's case, we realize, of course, he's an artist. He sings gospel song and he sings Calypso. But there's so much more to Jerry Lloyd. You will just recognize him probably as a teacher. But to listen to his story, from where he came to where he is now, the road that he traveled, and what inspires him to write these lyrics. This tells a story that so many of us can learn from. And I really enjoyed connecting the dots this morning. I really, really enjoyed connecting the dots. And so, Nigel, we will have Jerry on next time. We have to.
Oh, yes.
We have to. Yes, Nigel. So we leave, but let's laugh a little. I mean, as we leave. I don't know what can make us laugh right now. I mean,
well, I know what can make you laugh.
What is it? My choker, I want
the choker that Jerry.
I will look for it.
I want my choker.
I will look.
Yes, I want my choker. But Jerry Lloyd, thank you. Thank you
but Jerry, I mean, your parting words for us. I mean, in terms of this program, connecting the dots and what you think it does, and just your final words for us as you wind off.
Yeah, thank you, Ivonia and Nigel, so much for inviting me and having me on this program. Like you correctly said, there's so much to tell. There's so much still to the story, but I appreciate the time. And Nigel, like you've said, we've come a long way, man. We've had joys together. We've had trials together. We've had time together to build, to develop, the camaraderie, the competition, and just being able to push and to push each other forward.
Yeah.
That has been a privilege. Of course, Ivonia, is good to have seen you grow.
I was very shy, remember?
Yes.
And look at me now.
And look at you today. I walked in there and you were already dancing.
Yes.
The program was not yet. You know, it's beautiful to behold. And I have to tell you that people like you make teaching worthwhile, because every time we see another one of you come to the fore and do and be and become, it makes us so proud. And while the pay may not be great, but at least this gives us the thanks that we want, that somebody else has stepped up to the plate, taken the bull by the horns, and maybe taken some influence from what people like Nigel and myself have given you to become what you are today. You all make us really proud.
Of course, teachers like you really helped mold people like me. I know a lot of others as well. It helped us realize our defining moment in life, because at that time, adolescence, it was not easy. At that time, lights would be always gone. Electricity was not something that we always had, and at that time we had to go to the library to study. Things are so much easier now. We had to study under candle lights, but teachers like you really helped shape us. And I'm very proud that I went to the Dominica Grammar School and I met teachers like you. So yes, Nigel, we have to end. Dr. Miggs is waiting, but
yes,
we'll
Dr.
connect
Miggs
again
is there, and of course
next
Dr.
week.
Miggs will let us through.
Yeah.
Thanks again. Link
right.
up again. Jerry, appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you all as well, man, so much.
All right.
Nice connecting, really nice connecting.
Sure. All right. Okay.
Thanks again.
That's it on Connecting the Dots. We're going to join Dr. Miguel Labadie. Nigel and I, of course, will link up again next week with another guest on Connecting the Dots. Okay.
Thanks again.
That's it on Connecting the Dots. We're going to join Dr. We had my voice again, so let us see if we can correct this thing. And that's Connecting the Dots today on DBS Radio. We are very happy that you could join us. And let's make way now for Dr. Miguel Labadie. So let us see if we